Hey there, Jeff here. A never-ending human problem seems to be the housing problem. From living in a van down by the river to a chateau in the hillside, people in America live all over the place, but today we're going to look at apartment buildings. More specifically, one-star reviews of these apartment buildings, and thanks to Cash Money 4371 for the suggestion. If you want your suggestion in a video and you want to be shouted out, make sure you leave a comment down below of what you want to see, and also make sure you like and subscribe to this video, and let's get going. We're going to start our trip off in the Portland area at the Lodges at Lake Salish Apartments, which isn't really on Lake Salish, it's actually the Salish Pond behind it, but I found it pretty adorable that they call it the Lake Salish Apartments. We'll start off with Salva here. Apartments, nightmare parking and tight spaces. If you have a big truck, you're going to have fun parking here. Bird poop all over the parking lot. The spa is always broken. Called the office to have our building cleaned from dirt and spider webs. No response. You pay $1,400. Salva also included a couple pictures of like a moldy door frame or window frame, which doesn't really help. I was hoping it was a picture of all the bird poop. Darn it. Also, you can see in the background in the Google Maps, it is a pretty tight parking lot, but why do you need a big truck if you're living in an apartment building? You haul in a lot of stuff if you live in an apartment building? Why do people buy big trucks like that? Please tell me. Please tell me. Please tell me. This next review is one of the reasons I love one-star reviews. Shantae goes, I've always wanted to live here and I drive by and it looks like it's gone downhill. The only thing saving them is the pond next to it. Why would you go online and leave a one-star review for a place you've never lived at just based on driving by it and seeing that it's gone, quote, downhill? I just love that. Like, what possesses a person to do that? I don't understand it all. Like, it makes no sense to me. If I run past, like, a dilapidated building or something, I don't go online and leave a one-star review about it. It doesn't make sense to me. Why do people do this? Bunch of goofy goobers, that's why. Does illegal activity go down here, too? Jesse has to say 2 stars. Stolen catalytic converter, less than 45 minutes of parking here in broad daylight. 24-hour surveillance caught nothing. Update, as everyone can see based on the reply, no ownership taken. Read all reviews of this complex. It is notorious for car break-ins. Do better. And I'll include some of the pictures that Jesse included on the bottom here. The review before this, a person before it didn't even live here and gave it a 1-star review, while Jesse had their catalytic converter stolen and they gave it a 2-star review. People are weird. Julianne had a very similar experience. Went to visit my mom and my boyfriend's car had its catalytic converter stolen. Not only that, but they broke both the locks and stripped the ignition and stole his iPad from the truck, and a week later they ended up stealing the whole entire truck. This isn't the first time this has happened either.
It fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
Please be aware when you're coming here that this could happen to you. I just had to splice in that George Bush clip when she said this wasn't the first time it happened either. It just, I know it's not their fault that this happened, but if it wasn't the first time and it's happened before, maybe that truck was a target and maybe you should take a different vehicle, park somewhere else. I don't really know, but I would take some precautions. I'd be terrified of my car being broken into. After it happened once, I'd be like out there with like a paintball gun and I would just blast anybody getting close to it. Not really, but maybe if I had a really nice truck. Let's see what a long-term resident has to say about this place with David. I have lived at Lodges for 11 years and just moved out. Let me warn you about this place. 1. The old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, is wrong. The outside of this building and the trim is rotted and there are holes in the trim wide open for rain to get in. It's going to cost at least $1 to $2 million, if not more, to fix. Many of the decks are unsafe, one already being held up by 4x4s and some already coming apart because of gutters overflowing on your outside deck. 2. Office staff, many are very, very cold once you're in. If you get direct with you, they will blow you off. 3. Fireplace are supposed to put heat. Many are broken and cannot be repaired, so the fireplace are useless. Ask! 4. Parking is the most screwed up thing you'll ever see. Many of you will not be able to park where you live, and as far as the parking sticker they may or may not give you one are useless. They do not care. As far as having a guest park nearby, forget it. Almost everyone has 2 cars. 5. Noise. You better be deaf or you'll go nuts with all the dogs and kids, which I love both, however, when you want to go to sleep or rest, good luck. 6. When I moved out, I had a cleaner come in and clean everything, and they screwed me out of $130 out of $250 to clean it. Why? After 11 years, one would think they would have clean and to replace carpet, which they try to charge me to clean all the carpet and linoleum. They replace rule is after 5 years, they have to do it. Don't be fooled by this place. When you drive by it, it's all pretty, but as you go further back, it gets crappy. Warning. Look very closely. The ponds also bring in lots of sketchy folks, lots of theft and dumpster diving. Good luck. Where was my good luck before I had to start reading that review, David? I told you those lakes were just ponds. I know my lakes and my ponds, but I was looking at this on Google Maps and I'm like, those are ponds. Why do this call this the lakes? I'm like, if you had a good view of an actual lake, sure, but they're ponds. You can go fishing on those ponds. I found videos of that on YouTube. Dana said they've been here too long. Let's see what they have to say. Beware, lived here for too long. Horrible apartments, dry rot on all the buildings. It is deteriorating and has been for years. Looks nice from a distance, but it's far from it. Company only cares about the next dollar they can make, doesn't care about their tenants. Jacks up the price every year. The grounds are a horrid mess. They don't upgrade the apartments and don't care. It's all about the bottom dollar. The place is shabby and needs millions of dollars in upgrades. No parking. It's as bad as living in the slums. Look elsewhere. Not a happy place to live. Terrible environment. Be warned. They don't do anything for renters and the apartments are dirty. Grounds disgusting. Don't recommend. There's much better out there. Dana used so much punctuation, I thought one of those periods, commas, exclamation points was going to become a shiny one at some point. Yeah, that's a Pokemon reference. Anyways, it does sound like Dana had a very, very similar time as David did. Lived there for a while, everything's kind of deteriorating. Looks nice from a distance, but I've lived in a lot of different places, especially when I was going to college. And one of those things that sucked about those places is like you'd sign that 1-year lease and you were kind of like a poor college kid, so you couldn't really get out of it. And I lived in some shabby places. Like one place you could kind of push this wall in and out. I can kind of understand when you kind of see a place from afar, maybe you do a quick walkthrough and you're like, oh, this place is pretty nice, but once you live there and you kind of see all like the things that are actually wrong with it, I can understand that. So these are good reviews to look at. If you are planning on renting, look at those 1-star reviews at places. Our next stop is in the upper Midwest, outside of Chicago, just west of Chicago at Ellen's Crossing. We're going to start off this apartment complex with a very special segment I like to call, Holy Moly, Why Are the Ceilings Falling Down? You heard that right, let's go find out. We'll start off with Live Here, and they have an actual video of it happening, so let's get into that. It starts with someone moving a chair here. I probably would have moved the TV and maybe that computer out of the way, so you can see the ceiling starting to bulge a little bit as the ceiling then finally starts to give way, and boom, it gives birth to all of the ceiling insulation. Would you look at that, all over the nice living room. How terrible. Can you imagine that? Ugh. Let's go see what Liv had to say about it. My whole ceiling collapsed in my living room. I already talked to Ellen Crossing leasing office, and I know deep down they don't really care. They are not the ones that have to live in these conditions. They're not the ones that have to pay the high rent. I have no other option but to stay here. I'm thankful that I do have renter's insurance, but it only covers my personal belongings. If anyone decides to live here, please look over your rental agreement before signing it, because they definitely do not cover any act of God situations. If you get injured or need accommodation, they won't provide a hotel stay while they repair the damages. The amount of rent I pay is way too much for a very small 1-bedroom apartment, plus the building is falling apart as you can see. Ellen Crossing leasing team, or whoever is down the office, you really need to actually get up and look at these apartments and ask yourself, would I live here? Would I want my loved ones living here? Times are really hard now. This is the time to step up as a community and help. I really hope this message reaches someone at Ellen Crossing who actually has a heart and step up to make a change. Taking time and looking over your rental agreement, or having someone who's familiar with it looking it over, could save you such a headache in the future. Something like this that happened to Liv. I feel really bad for her. That seems like a terrible situation. I would hate to have my ceiling collapse. It just seems horrible. The next roof leaking video is from Joanny. Let's get into it. Here we go. As you can see, it's more of a constant stream coming through, and there's already a bit of water damage. There's some cracks leaking. I would have gotten a lot of that stuff out of the living room. You see, oh, the plan at least, boom! Chest burster explodes all over the floor. Nasty. It's like some brown stuff too this time around. And they have like 5 little buckets up collecting some water, but I don't know. I would have tried to do a little bit more. Like, look at the TV. There's like upholstery getting ruined, unless it was already getting rained on before people were home. You never know about that, but that looks just terrible. Let's see if they had any more help with the leasing company. Here is Joanny's review. Consider this place only if it's your last option. The apartments are so old that the pipes collapsed and my ceiling fell in the middle of the night. We had to live there with noisy fans for days, drying out everything, and we spent 4 weeks with them in our living room. No one looked for them. For obvious reasons, we moved, and now they want to charge us $200 to cover 2 holes in the wall, which we already covered. It is ridiculous and senseless amount. They look for ways to rob people with whatever. Even if you leave the apartment as clean as you can, they'll still charge you, so they don't even make an effort to clean. Please don't live here. You will save yourself headaches and money. I've lived in a lot of like old houses, especially when I was going to school, and it was very, very annoying to get charged cleaning fees when you would leave a place far cleaner when you left than when you moved in. It would happen all the time for me. I like to clean, so I'd keep my place clean, and I would go around, clean windowsills off, I'd wipe everything down, vacuum, do scented stuff, clean the carpets, do everything. I'd even borrow my carpet cleaner from my parents. I would do all that stuff back then. But nope, I'd get charged like $200, $150 cleaning fees and stuff. It made me so mad. Andrew doesn't have a video of his ceiling actually collapsing, but he does have pictures. What does his review have to say? Do not live here! If you love the musical sound of mice scratching the walls and getting into your kitchen drawers, then this is the place for you. Pest control did nothing but leave Dollar Tree glue traps, which did nothing. They kept getting in no matter how clean the apartment was, so I gave up because fortunately I moved out. Also had a pipe burst that made my ceiling collapse, destroying all my furniture while I was out of town. Maintenance came into my apartment without letting me know what happened and threw all of my stuff that was wet and damaged into my kids' room, which was the only room that didn't get destroyed by the pipe burst. They offered no help for a temporary place to stay till the apartment was fixed, so I had to stay at a hotel for over a month till they fixed the apartment, only to come back to the place smelling like mildew and the carpet not being replaced, still soaking wet and covered in paint dust and drywall chunks from maintenance fixing the ceiling. When I called the property manager to replace the carpet, he demanded the balance to be paid first for the months that we weren't living there. No discount or nothing. This place is horrible. It's no wonder the management has changed 4 times in the 3.5 years I've lived here. A 2-bedroom apartment is the size of a studio apartment. It's not worth the money at all. Save your money and look somewhere else. In my opinion, if you can't live in your apartment because of something that happened to the building, like the pipe bursting for this guy, then you should not get charged the full amount for your rent, if at all. Possibly get charged for like utilities or whatever is like kind of rolled into your rent that you cover for the entire building. I know that would be kind of silly too, but if it was up to me and I was like the owner of the building, I would be like, I'm really sorry, man. I'm sorry this happened. We'll get it all replaced. I hope we can keep you as a tenant. Nah, these places don't care. We move back to the regular reviews without the ceiling collapsing with Phillips here. I would put 0 if it had that option. Anyone trying to move here, think twice. If you want to pay high rent and live with fugitives, this is the place, and supposedly they have cameras which they don't work. Want to get packages stolen? Welcome. Worst place to live. Community is getting full of illegal Venezuelan and Colombian who want to make it a mini Venezuela and mini Colombia place now. Pool filled with beers, bottle, cans, condoms thrown everywhere. They have been having parties or gatherings from Friday to Sunday and no cops have shown and the management doesn't do anything. People have jobs and need sleep. And they don't respect that. Almost every complex has mini gatherings. No respect for others. Laundry rooms are dirty. Full of pet hairs, literally everything inside the laundry room is dirty. Not to mention that the Venezuelans do inside the laundry rooms and hallways are dirty as well. We pay for utilities like pest control and the apartments are literally full of ants, flies, and all sorts of bugs. I have nothing against no one. I want management to do something, put order to this place because it's really high rent for a small place like this. And having to deal with this is not acceptable to me. Ending the contract, I'm leaving. And management uses bots, lol. I wonder what kind of bots the management uses. You think they're like flax picking bots or like wood cutting bots or maybe like a power mining bot? Anyone who says I have no problem with no one after listing a bunch of problems with people based on their race probably has a problem with those people, I'm just saying. It does sound a little annoying to be around partying and stuff, but I lived in a college town area where people would party all the time and it was very annoying, but you kind of get used to it, you deal with it, but I can understand getting annoyed, especially if it's changed over the years, but he doesn't really specify that too much. What kind of conditions did Irie live in? This complex rented me an apartment with clogged sinks, broken blinds, nails sticking up out of my bedroom floor, and a kitchen floor that is falling apart. The office staff has been anything but helpful. Don't rent at this place unless you like broken fixtures and neighbors that blast music until 3 a.m. They also charge you for water, sewer, trash, etc. In all of those like crummy places I lived, I was always the designated clog fixer if I had roommates because I was always good at fixing them and they were always clogged. So this isn't that unique of a problem, but it's a very annoying problem. I also like the little tidbit at the end. They also charge you for water, sewer, trash, etc. Like why wouldn't they charge you for that? Do they not specify in the lease? Because then you can sue them, right? I'm a little confused by that one. We move on to Jaime here. Trust me, it's Jaime. I had to censor the rest of the name. They know there have been multiple incidents of packages being stolen inside the building. buildings. I say they know because a lady in the office told me that packages are being stolen every day. And they don't do nothing. They say they have cameras outside the building, but I think that's a lie. Or if they have cameras, they don't work. I went to the office and they say all they can do is send a reminder to the residents to not take others' packages. The community is full of thieves. I guess I can't order packages anymore, or I'll be spending money just for someone else to come and grab my package, knowing that that person won't get in trouble. Being a porch pirate is such a scummy thing to do. It's like the lowest form of society. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, yeah, go ahead, steal my heartburn pills and my deodorant. Go ahead, have fun with it. You'll smell better and maybe your stomach won't feel so crappy. And then maybe you won't go around stealing people's crap, huh? Anti-Santa? Nina moved here and had some trouble with that upper Midwest winter. Let's find out what happened. Seemed like a great community to move into until we were running into issues every week. The dishwasher stopped working within the first week. Our heat went out for 5 days in -30 Fahrenheit weather, and property management claimed there was nothing he can do until we threatened to pull police reports from the week before. Our laundry room was out of service for 5 weeks, and I had to haul laundry all over the property. Threatened to evict us in the middle of winter because we were a day late on rent and tried to pay, but the office was closed. To top it off, we have a mold issue in our AC unit, and they said they are not responsible for cleaning it. I am currently 8 months pregnant, and out of anyone should be inhaling mold and putting my kid in danger. I've gone to the office multiple times. I'm sure they're going to respond to this saying I should stop by the office to resolve the issue, then continue not to do anything about the issues. As someone who's experienced many of those -30 Fahrenheit days, going without heat for 5 days would be just absolutely horrible. I don't know how you would stay warm. You'd have to go to a hotel or something. I'm not too sure. Space heaters maybe would work, but if you're out of heat, like something's going on. I'm really confused to how threatening to pull up police reports from a previous week has anything to do with fixing your heat, and I wish Nina would follow up on that. And also, she should have let off with being 8 months pregnant. You get a lot more sympathy from people online if you lead off with that. We go from the upper Midwest where it gets to -30 in the winter to a place called Winter Park in the middle of Florida where it's hot and humid and nice and warm, like a nice hot humid garage. It's a rather large apartment complex type gated area where there aren't any street views from inside, but I can show a nice little area from the outside, so let's get into those reviews. We start off with Marie Francis right here. I never trust someone with 2 first names, they had to say. If you're thinking about it, don't do it. The only good thing about this place is the maintenance team. They were always willing to help out. Otherwise, this people from the leasing office will add up to your rent out of nowhere or charge you twice, and if you're not aware, you will pay for it. They will call you a liar on your face just to not look bad. They show you a nice apartment, and once you move in, it's a completely different thing. And so you're paying to be on a gated community that is never gated because it's always broken. LOL. It's funny, yet very frustrating to me since I have to be the one that reads them, that these people go online and leave these 1-star reviews and they can't even string like 3 sentences together without like tons of grammar mistakes, just random punctuation, no punctuation, double words, words that don't make any sense. It makes it feel like I can't read, but I know I can read. I promise I can read. Does it get any better with mail-in? Good luck! If you're trying to move to this place, I made an appointment on their website for a virtual tour. They sent me an email confirmation and a reminder. I took the day off for this. They never sent me a link, and I called and no one picked up the phone. There was a point where they were just hanging up on me. Absolutely unprofessional and disrespectful. This is a huge red flag not to move in there. I wasn't begging for anything, I just wanted to rent. Improve your customer service and be more professional. This is one of those things, like if it happened to me, and it happened to me many times when I was applying for different places to live, that places would just ghost you, and it happens, and you just have to move on. I wouldn't go online and leave a 1-star review because it would drive me absolutely insane. I really like Shani's review. The first 2 paragraphs are an updated review, and the bottom one is her original review. So let's look at the updated review, then the original review, and we'll see how much things have changed. Edit. After a few years and a change in management, things have decreased or I have become more aware of some issues. It's impossible to get a hold of anyone in the leasing office. I work during the day and I can't make it during their opening hours. So now I'm trying to figure out what I owe for next month since we have switched rental portals and service portals so many times. It is still a safe and enjoyable neighborhood to live in, but at the moment my rent was just raised $300. My electricity is always spotty. I have cracks in my wall and water damage on my ceiling. The paint on my patio is gone. The screens on my screened-in patio is coming off, and I can't get a hold of anyone to find what money I owe. I will continue to renew here because options in this area are worse and priced even higher. So that's her updated review, so let's see what she originally left as a review now. I love living here. The apartments are great and priced well. The leasing options are flexible, and the staff worked with us for days, helping us find best options. Maintenance responds quickly and fixes any issues we've had. Love the screen-in patios and ample storage space. Amenities are awesome. Pool, 24-hour fitness center, Amazon Hub pickup. Sounds like her first review was left maybe after a few months of living there when you're in that honeymoon state of a new place. You're like, oh, I just love this place. And then you slowly start seeing everything that's quite wrong with it and people who are complaining and all the issues you have that never get answered. And then you're like, maybe this place isn't made for me. And that place slowly rejects you and pushes you out, kind of like a bad earthworm. What? You know how the earthworms come out of the ground? So like, yeah, the place is like a bad, I don't know. Moving on. Jeloni had some pest problems. Let's read about them. Okay, so it was a pleasure staying here at first. The maintenance team are quick and so nice. Jasmine in the office is a sweetheart. Whoever that manager is can kick rocks though, respectfully. Now the apartments. At first, no roaches, and then suddenly roaches were appearing, and supposedly it was because I had cracks in my door, so they fixed it. It sort of helped because pest control was also on point. The biggest issue at Arium is the raccoons. I know she means raccoons, don't worry. Them things always tore my trash before the people can pick it up. Before I left there, I heard something in my attic part at 4 a.m. Kid you not, I believe the raccoons some way and somehow got on the roof, but something in me is telling me they live in the attic part because of how close that run it did above me sounded. Like, I'm not even playing. For months at random times, my 5-year-old would tell me there's monsters up there and he hears something and I thought he was playing. But before I left 2 months ago, I heard it also. Other than that, pretty decent place. It started to get a little ghetto too, but it's cool for the most part. Now that was a wild review, and not just because of the wild animals, but all around just kind of a strange review. No roaches, suddenly roaches, kid hears monsters, monsters end up being little trash bandits, it's all over the place. But it was nice to stay there at first, that's what I'm telling you. I think that other review is left in that like honeymoon phase where it was like everything is kind of nice, and then you slowly start to see the raccoons and you're like, uh-oh, I don't like this place. Nicole starts her review off a little bit more specifically than Marie Francis did. Let's see what Nicole had to say. Look somewhere else. Since new management has taken over, this place has gone downhill. The office rarely returns phone calls and emails once you move in. Be sure you have plenty of time to take off work and spend it in the front office because that's the only way to get a response, as management always leaves early. This gated community is gated maybe 3 weeks out of the year. The gate is always broken. The clubhouse burns down, you still pay for it. The third-party contractors they hired harassing you, not their problem. You're splitting the rent with a roommate and they're a penny short? Go get a money order or they will file an eviction because you are late on rent. There is zero security, no cameras or security guard that drives through the parking lots at night, and the gate is broken 98% of the time. Perfect example of how this complex is ran is they will tell you, not their responsibility. Don't waste your money here. It used to be a nice community, but now they are renting to criminals and don't care because it's not where they live. I'm glad this started off with look somewhere else instead of don't do it if you're thinking about it, because that just sounds so like, I don't know, it sounds like you're talking to like a little kid who's about to touch a hot stove or something. The way the reviews talk about the new management, it almost sounds like they're using like weaponized incompetence so people get charged on their rent and have all these issues, and as long as they're not around and they can't help you, then you're just going to keep paying because you need a place to live, and it's just a bad cycle. Ugh. I also want to learn more about this clubhouse burning down. Is there a video of that? I really want to see that. Let's swing on over to Samantha and see what she has to say. This place is incredibly dishonest. The front desk will steal your packages. One person will tell you they have your package, then it'll mysteriously disappear, and they will gaslight you by telling you they never told you they had it to begin with. I wonder what Scooby-Doo and the gang are up to right now, because it seems like we have a mystery on our foot. I wonder what's going on here. I'm sure it's some sort of inside job. People are so scummy. Porch pirates suck. How bad did it go for Cheyenne? This management is horrible. Arium has to be one of the worst management companies ever. They didn't tell us about a third company vendor they were using for utilities, then they almost double charged us for rent. We were paying $1,800 a month and they were charging us $2,200. When we called them to fix it, they didn't. We called for 2 weeks straight. After never getting a phone call back, we were served a statement saying that we're going to be evicted for not paying rent, even though they were overcharging us. Worst apartment complex and management ever. They will be the reasons we are not renewing the lease. Not to mention, they are overcharging us for damage done by their maintenance crew. And my car has been broken into 3 times, and the complex refuses to put more lighting around the parking lot areas. Urgh. This is another example, like, of just what I was talking about, like that weaponized incompetence. Like, you're calling all the time, they don't answer the phone, and they try to double charge you. Hope people don't notice because it's like on auto pay. It's just very, very scummy. Scumlord, scumlord, scumlord. Next, we're going to do the opposite of what most people do, and we're going to go from Florida up to New York City. We're going to visit Coney Island in New York City, right on the ocean on 4 Ocean Drive. To get even more specific, the Ocean Drive Luxury Apartments. The building looks really, really nice from the outside, and you have a nice view of the ocean, which is really cool and very unique. There's only a few places where you get a nice view of the ocean like that, and it's a luxury apartment, so let's see what people have to say about them. I mean, they're luxury. How bad can they get? Not because it's alphabetical order, but we're going to start off with Alan. Hello, everyone. Be aware. The cost of living not the same as advertised. This is a new construction property and many people have no idea how to dealing with many apartment problems. Be aware one more time, 70% of residents not happy what they paid for, unfortunately. Too much mosquitoes around and no window screens at all to protect apartment. You must close all windows instead, breathe fresh air. Very noisy outside activities, especially 4 a.m. in the morning. The beach cleaning trucks turn on their safety signals and produce warning signals and if you are unable to sleep well. Be aware. They smile on the beginning when you signed the rent agreement, and after they ignore all your service requests, the indoor pool still closed. Alan said be aware one more time, and then he said be aware again, so he's a liar. So I don't know if I can take any of this as truth. I also need a translation for this review. I know I need to be aware of all these problems and no one's really happy, but a lot of these problems don't seem like that detrimental. The no fresh air thing kind of stinks, but wouldn't you be probably using AC in the summertime when there's mosquitoes anyways? I'm sure it gets hot and humid in New York City, right? Goddess alert, goddess alert. Do not waste your time or money renting here. First, they would discriminate against you if you are not white passing, a person who looks to be of European descent. The walls are paper thin and you can hear the conversation and movements of your neighbors. The pool has limited hours. They lied about the shuttle service in the supermarket downstairs. The maintenance team does not clean often. There have been instances where I have passed the same mess days on end and it was never cleaned. There's also a garage attached to this building where you're expected to pay monthly, which is fine. However, the parking attendants frequently damages your cars and the company finds that you're not liable for damages every time. And they will misplace your key, usually in another car, and have you pay for the replacement. Honestly, truly, this place is not worth the headache, and I'm happy the family was able to move out without issues. Proceed and move in with caution. Paper thin walls, parking attendants wrecking your cars, losing your keys. This place sounds like a giant headache. I would not want to live here, but you're in New York City and you can see the ocean, even if it is full of mosquitoes. Well, let's see what other problems people have. How bad did it go for Apollo? Very rude and absolutely incompetent leasing office. A woman was speaking to me like I'm a 5-year-old, and we are in a nursery and she's a babysitter, absolutely angry and irritated. I'm working with many leasing offices and I've never had such a ridiculous conversation in my life. She didn't even know what she was talking about. Employ somebody knowledgeable and polite. When I think of a woman speaking to a 5-year-old in a nursery as a babysitter, I don't really think that she's angry and irritated unless it's a really bad kid. Most people are pretty enjoyable around a young kid, especially if the kid's being polite and nice, but it sounds like maybe Apollo was being rude and he was getting it back to him and he didn't like that? I don't know. What do you guys think? FA is up next. I wonder what that stands for. Feral Aardvark? I've been a tenant here for 2 years, but over time, the limited space has become increasingly problematic. The realization struck that I was paying a substantial amount for a living situation that couldn't comfortably accommodate all of my belongings. It begs the question, how much storage should one really have to invest in? Such circumstances have prompted me to reconsider the value and functionality of my current living space. This is one of those reviews that I'm wondering, why is this a 1-star review on the internet and not just written down on a diary or in a notepad on your phone or something, or just tweeted on a dumb Twitter account? I don't really know. It seems very strange to leave a 1-star review, letting someone know that you have a lot of stuff and not enough room in your apartment for it. That's a you problem and not an apartment problem. Juanita has one of the most stressful problems, a money problem. Let's see what happened. I provided Irina a deposit of $500 to hold an apartment for me until I decided between this apartment building and another. She assured me the deposit was refundable and that it would be used to hold the apartment unless I decided not to move forward. She called me every day and I responded to emails promptly until I decided I no longer wanted to move forward with the apartment. She has ignored my calls and texts since I asked for a refund. It's been 2 weeks and still no refund. I had to call my bank and have it disputed. I also feel the need to mention that the apartment building is unkempt. There is loose trash, including socks, flying around the yard. The common areas have no air conditioning, and the hallways and the elevators are very hot. I do not recommend. This is actually a pretty good review, even though the person never lived there, because you get a good understanding of how the process went to like apply for it, how the person was treated after they didn't want it. It would be a good one to read if you're thinking about applying to like multiple apartments. Be like, I'm not going to even apply to this one, because if you have to fight for like your deposit back and it's like a $500 deposit, that's a lot of money, especially if you're trying to find multiple places and it was just to hold the apartment for you and you're like, I don't want it, can I have my money back? And then they ignore you. I would never go to that place again, or any place that's managed by them, and I would probably leave a review. Actually, not me, because I don't leave those kind of reviews, but you know what I'm saying. Our next review is from Evgeny. I'm sorry I can't pronounce some of these names, but he had to say, I live in this complex for the second year. I like everything here, but in the last 6 months something has changed. Firstly, it became dirty on the floors and downstairs in the lobby. Secondly, it is summer now and it is very hot on the floors. The air conditioning does not work well in the elevator too. Now we were traveling with a neighbor in the elevator. She confirmed that it was hot everywhere on each floor. There was also an unpleasant smell in the elevator. Yesterday we met neighbors from 4 apartments in this complex and it was raining, but there was no wind. They asked the superintendent to give us umbrellas to hide from the rain, but he refused us this. Today there was a strong wind and there were umbrellas on the street. What is this? Respect for permanent residents. Thanks, Richie. This might be one of the most thorough reviews I've read. We got his point of view, but he also confirmed it with other neighbors. We got to hear how hot it was in the elevators, how things have changed, and how it used to be better. It's very nice to have a little confirmation, a little bit more thoroughness to one of these reviews. Thank you, Evgeny. Next, let's make a rush to California. Not the gold rush, but we are going to San Francisco. Fun fact, I bet over the Golden State Bridge when I was a little kid. But on a more serious note, let's go visit the Gateway apartment complex in San Francisco. Andrew comes in steaming. If you like living in a giant toilet, this is the place for you. This is an issue I encounter multiple times a week living here. Despite pleading with security and the admin of the building, I have yet to see an improvement. I have suggested cameras, signs, additional security patrols, gates, and more. Yet, this is still a regular occurrence, both in front of the units as well as the staircases. This review is like if you took the stereotypes about San Francisco and put it all about an apartment building. Ugh, it sounds disgusting. He also included pictures of a staircase where someone defecated, and I cannot show that because it's not very safe for work and it's also very disgusting. Next up is user John and Angela. Let's see what they had to say. Management doesn't care about their residents. Complaints were made multiple times, and whenever a security guard comes around to tell them to quiet down, they'll do it for a minute, then they blast it even louder as retaliation. Residents smoke hookah and management doesn't care. There's no repercussions, which shows that management does not provide a safe space, nor does the tenants care here. After sending multiple emails to management, all they say is there's nothing they can do. There's no respect for residents here, so I would not recommend living here unless you like to party every night, even a Sunday night. Party, 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 party. I love how vague this was. Complaints were made multiple times. Not complaints about the sound were made multiple times to the management. They didn't do anything about it. Nope, it's just blasted even louder as retaliation. They don't say anything about sound, music, or anything. The residents smoke hookah. I bet it's something different, but hey. Let's see what happened to Olga. This is not a safe place. I do not recommend renting an apartment here. Huge issues with security and management doesn't care. My stuff got stolen from the laundry room and management wouldn't do anything about that. I had to chase different people, concierge, front desk management, Monica, for a few days only to get a reply that nothing will be done. They seem to be nice before you sign the contract, and once you do that, no one cares about any issues you have with them. I've personally never had any of my stuff stolen out of a laundry room, but I have had my clothes taken out of a dryer before when they haven't been completely dried and taken out and thrown on top of the dryer so someone else could throw their clothes in the dryer. I've had that happen to me before one time when I've shared a laundry area, but I've never had my stuff stolen from a laundry area. But if that did happen and management was like really complacent about it, I would be so angry. I'd be putting on blast any way I could. So I can understand this 1-star review. Nicholas had a utility problem. What was it? I'm in Vista West. In this month, I've experienced 4 water supply shutoffs at very inconvenient times. In 2 of these occasions, I was not given any advance warning. See screenshots for all the shutoffs. I'll show those on the screen. In general, expect to lose water access at least 2 times a month, which is incredibly disruptive for working from home or for families, especially with young children. Before you sign your lease, be sure to ask them about this issue. In hindsight, it would have been a deal breaker. As you can see from the screenshot I showed, he got the email on October 9th for an October 9th shutoff from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So even if this email came at like 4 or 5 a.m., like if it was automated or something, that's still not that much time to like let someone know, hey, your water's going to be off for, what, is that 2 and 3 hours? That's terrible. Bad management. Sasha also had a water problem. What was it? The gateway is okay until something happens. We have no hot water in the shower for the 3rd month, and it seems like they either don't care or have no idea how to fix. They have a lot of managers, but trying to ask for a discount on your monthly rent due to the issue they cannot fix, and you get nothing. Call Jonathan. Tried contacting Jose, who is another manager of some sort. Nobody seems to care or do anything. Beware. I would think 3 times before signing a lease, especially at the current prices. Deuces. No hot water consistently would be a deal breaker for like most people, but there was a time in Jeff's life where I was taking cold showers because I had to get up super early for work, and I read a cold shower is as good as drinking a cup of coffee. And I was like, alright, I'll take a cold shower and I'll make it a limited shower. So my hair was real short at the time, so I'm like, you know what, I'll listen to this one Silverstein song I was really into, and boom, took a quick shower, and it was real cold. Good stuff. Woke me up. What kind of problem does Mandy have? Is it about water or something else? Living in Gateway has become a struggle due to excessive construction noise throughout the building. As someone working from home, the situation is unmanageable. The noise is 9 to 5 non-stop. The management's response was to promise a transfer to another apartment, but it won't be available until more than a month later. The alternative? A respite room with no cellular signal. Even I'm paying the full rent, I'm struggling to find myself a quiet place to work every day. If I had to work from home in an apartment building that had construction going on all day, it would drive me insane. I would have to go work in an office or something. And with that, you beautiful people have made it to the end of another one of my videos. If you're one of the awesome people that made it to the end and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1K subs. I want it to be cool if you're one of the first 1,000. And also make sure you leave a like on this video and leave a comment down below of a different place you want to see, because I love to read your comments and I try to reply to as many as I can, because I've been Jeff and you're really, really awesome, and I can't wait to see you next time. Goodbye.